Attention L-10 Democrats. The meeting will be beginning in about 2 minutes. We ask that everybody begin finding your seats. And for the courtesy of those around you and our speaking guests tonight, please silence your cell phones. Again, the meeting will be beginning in 2 minutes. Please find your seats and silence your cell phones for the courtesy of our speaking guests. Ladies and gentlemen, the meeting will be beginning in 1 minute. Please find your seats.
Can I have everyone's 1 minute's attention? We're going to actually start as closely on time, set a new record, and the reason for that is Adrian Fontes is on his way. He's on a really tight schedule. Could we have silence in the back? Could we have quiet, because I don't want to have to turn these way up. Adrian Fontes is on his way, should be arriving shortly. He's on a very tight schedule. So we're going to turn around our normal agenda and start with, he's already here. So let's have a suggestion.
I'm gonna bird dog it.
Thank you. I really appreciate
I think I wanted to, because I'm not gonna be here the whole day.
So I'm going to call the meeting to order. The first thing we'll do is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, the timing is absolutely perfect. For those who are here for the first time, I am Robert Doyle, Chair of the LD10 Democrats. I almost said LD18, which is my old area. Thank you for joining us tonight. And the only thing I really wanted to say about Secretary Fontes, because I couldn't do it justice, was to just talk for a minute about my first political lesson I learned from Adrian way back in 2017 when I showed up for the Maricopa County a Democratic summer party. He was a reporter at that time, and he just said something very brief, so obvious, it is just burned in my mind since then. He said this: tell your volunteers to start at the bottom of the ballot, vote to the top, and back down. And I never thought about that. You know, we get to the top and then we stop. So one of our major mission as LD10 is to provide that voter guide to get you through those races you're not familiar with, to get you through those referrals. But I just thought, to me, that was just like this insight from the heavens up and up. So I won't say anything more. I'd like to invite Secretary Skontas.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate it. Thank you. Sorry. I just realized I still have my ID here to get into the office because I do have to go back in. So I want to thank you, LD10. By the way, thank you for being my first event after winning Arizona's nomination for Secretary of State. Thank you, Democrats. And I got 100% of the vote. That was awesome. That was pretty funny because I was on Fox 10. I don't know if you guys saw this. And Colin was like, "Oh, this Randy, blah, 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 all this." And I'm like, "Yeah, I got 100%. He only got 60, so they're better." Anyway, so I do want to thank everybody for coming. I know a little bit early for us. I really appreciate that. And look at how many people are out here. Look at this far East Mesa, right? Literally look around. This is the kind of thing this is why this is important, because we're turning out. And I want folks to really look at it. Although turnout was low because we don't have a federal statewide race on the ballot this year, and it was record low turnout, we haven't had the absence of a federal statewide candidate in Arizona's elections since I think 2012 or 2014. And that's without that federal money and those federal primaries in the big statewide races. And the other side they're the only ones with primaries. So we didn't really do a whole lot because we wanted to save our money for the general. So that's why turnout was low. So people are like, "Oh, people aren't excited." I'm like, look at the proportions, right? Look at the candidates. Look at who is winning here and there and everywhere, and it's us. And we're going to keep doing it. And we're going to keep Governor Hobbs. We're going to keep me. We're going to keep the Attorney General. We're going to be absolutely certain that for the first time in 60 years, Democrats run the House and the Senate down at the state level. And we're going to make that happen for a variety of reasons. First of all, because Democrats are going to vote by mail no matter what Alex Cullinan says about forcing you to stand in line. We will vote by mail. And we're going to vote early. Folks, I got a 72-hour rule that I want everybody to understand here. You better have that ballot back in the mail 72 hours after you get it. Don't let it sit on the kitchen counter. Don't let it get up underneath the APS bill and those other, notices that you get from the window guys and the roofing guys. 72 hours. Give yourselves that marker at the very most. Get it back, and here's why. I'm going to get into some tactics here, some basic political tactics stuff. One of the things that we spend money on in our campaigns is chasing voters to get them to vote, right? Now, some of you have heard me say this, but let's just say I've got my voters that I know voted from the last 4 elections. I can count on them to vote. I got these group the last 3 elections out of the 4. You guys right here voted in the last 2 out of 4 elections. You guys only voted once, and that's okay, you voted, but we're working on it. Now, I got this little group right here, including this nice lady in the red sweater, by the way. Patty O'Neill, our county party chair. Give her a big round. She's great, except she likes voting on election day. I heard some boos. I didn't hear more. Do not vote on election day. If you aren't voting early, you're doing it wrong. I'm not kidding. Patty votes on election day, but she does it 4 out of 4 times. I know I can count on her vote. But guess what I need to do the week before Election Day and 2 weeks before Election Day? I've got to call her to make sure she votes. I've got to send her a postcard to make sure she votes. Somebody knocking on her door to make sure she votes. Now, if I could get Patty to quit being so friggin' stubborn and actually vote by mail 72 hours after getting her ballot, do I need to spend time and energy and resources chasing her? No, I can work on the 3 out of 4s because I can almost always count on you guys, and we might need to do a little bit more. But now I have resources from over there, the folks that are going to vote in here, the folks that we're pretty positive about, and so on and so on and so on. And so guess what? This is going to be a turnout campaign, folks. It's going to be a turnout year for Democrats. Why? Because the Republicans hate each other. They hate each other. They're fighting tooth and nail against each other, up and down the ballot. We love law wars. We hate law wars. We love tariffs. We hate tariffs. We love common sense. We like conspiracy theories. They don't know whether they're schizophrenic. Right? There's only one thing that they are unified on. Only one. And that is no one can tell the difference between a winner and a loser, but only as to the presidency in 2020. That's it. Otherwise, they can tell. But that's the one thing that unifies them. And that's the one thing that scares us. Because it's that one personal grievance from that one guy who has destroyed the East Wing of the White House, destroyed American families, destroyed our reputation across the planet, is destroying the economy, is destroying our natural resources and our parklands, is destroying the institutional gravitas that we used to have at the CDC and the FDA. He's destroying the faith that we have in one another. And these people, these good people, our neighbors, have been sucked into this nonsense. And we've tried and tried and tried to control them. We've tried with love. We've tried with logic. We've tried with everything else. Guess what we're going to have to do? We're going to have to kick their ass at the ballot box and make some sense of it. That's right. So let me do a little intro stuff so some of you if you haven't figured it out by now, I'm an Arizona native, born and bred down on the border. My family's been down there. Don't clap yet, I might give you a hard time. You know, I know a lot of people who are Arizona natives, and they get real proud and they say, oh, my family's been here for 3 or 4 generations. And I'm like, oh, that's horrible. Because I've got an ancestor who heard a mass given by Father Kino in 1695. He's the guy who built the San Javier del Bac mission in Tucson. I've got an ancestor who rode against the first Pima uprising, not in 1776, but in 1750 and 51 over that winter time. We have the military correspondence that shows that. I am tied to this land, going back multiple generations. In fact, my great-grandmother wasn't allowed to marry my great-grandfather until he learned to speak Sunyaki. So when you talk about someone who's dedicated to this place, to this land, to these peoples, you ain't gonna find anybody closer to all of that than me. And when I left Nogales High School, because I was born and bred down on the border, and I came up to Arizona State University, go Sun Devils, I had an amazing time. I had a great time. I know there's got to be some Wildcats in here. Yay, basketball. We're in Maricopa County now. You all give me a hard time now, but when I'm down in Tucson, I always acknowledge the Wildcats because you can't not do that. And that's okay. That's okay. They did a good job in the tournament this year. But I went to ASU, and I had a great time. And let me tell you something, I had too good of a time. I lost my scholarship because I partied too much. I was on a full ride. It was a stupid, foolish thing that I did as a kid. But you know why I'm telling you this story? Because after that, I went and enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. And at the beginning of it, are you judging me from the front row? I didn't know you got heckled in political stuff too, especially from the party. The Marine Corps gave me 3 choices. They said you can go to the East Coast, you can go to the West Coast, or you can go overseas. And so being a kid from Nogales, of course, I said, I want to go overseas and see the world. And then I said, I'll go to the East Coast as a second choice just because I'm from out here. I got family in California. We visit once in a while. So when they stationed me at Marine Corps Air Station in Yuma, Arizona, I thought, okay, Uncle Sam, I'll bite. And we had a great time. learned a lot. When I got out, I learned enough to go back to ASU, finish my bachelor's degree at the Honors College, summa cum laude. Go ahead and heckle that. And then I went to the University of Denver and got my Juris Doctorate with an emphasis in international law, and then I started prosecuting. First at the Adams County DA's office, and then under Bill Ritter at the Denver DA's office. He's a former governor of Colorado. Good guy. Then I came down here to work at the Maricopa County Attorney's Office under fellow Marine Rick Bromley. And then I took over the International Prosecution Unit for Terry Goddard when he was the Attorney General. So I spent my time going after bad guys and prosecuting folks that committed crimes. And then I went to the other side of the courtroom, and I worked for the constitutional rights of the accused. Proudly so. Because if you haven't read it yet in a while, the Constitution has one civilian role clearly defined in it, and that's counsel for the accused. You may not like their clients, but you better like the fact that they work hard for the constitutional rights of those folks. And that's an important distinction that a lot of people don't make. I make it because I did it, and I'm proud of that work. And eventually I got really, really angry. Some of you remember 4 and 5 hour long lines to vote, not just 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I stood up and I said, I'm not here to see whether or not I'm running for county recorder. I'm here to see if I'm going to have a primary. You remember that meeting, Steve? And we ran and we won and we beat Helen Purcell because I wanted to make sure that every eligible citizen had the right to vote. And we made that happen right here. Now you fast forward a little bit, what did we do? We brought that ballot tracking system that we've been talking about down here. Who gets those text messages? Text and emails? Yeah, there you go. You're welcome. That was me. I went down to be the chief deputy recorder in Pima County after I lost my re-election bid. And I brought that same system down to Pima County. We made vote centers happen down in Pima County when I was down there. That's exactly why she brought me down to do that work. And right now, most of you know, and if you've been watching the soccer commercials on TV, as Secretary of State, we've brought that ballot tracking system to all 13 of the remaining counties. So if you get your text message back and forth and your confidence is built in the quality of Arizona's elections, that's because of me. And I'm proud of the work that I did. We've also done some things to protect your personal identifying information against former AG Pam Bondi. That worked out well for her, didn't it? And oh, by the way, when I told them to pound sand that they wouldn't get your personal identifying information, I meant it. And then they sued me, and then they lost. And we just found out today that they should not be called the Department of Justice. They should be called the Department of OFER because they're 0 for 17 in those cases. Those requests are illegal. They violate the Privacy Act of 1974. It violates state law. It violates the Social Security Act. And our good friends on the other side of the political aisle just nominated a dum-dum who has said he would just give that information over. And he flat out said, they already have your Social Security number. Well, what he doesn't understand is that the federal law, I think he'd know because he's a lawyer, the federal law in the Social Security Act tells the Social Security Administration that they can't share that number with anybody else. Somebody ought to tell my opponent to pull his head out of his ass. Moreover, let me give you some other nice pieces of talking points on him. He is the only member of the Arizona State Legislature who voted against increasing penalties for stolen valor. His own party incensed at the fact that he would cheapen the sacrifices that were made by our veterans. He wants people to be allowed to just wear whatever medals they want, whether or not they earned them. That's the character of this individual. He said Sandra O'Connor was a mediocre jurist and should never have been on the Supreme Court. This is a guy who voted to say that pipe bombs were okay to have. And he hates ballot by mail voting so much that he has promoted legislation and has a proposition on the ballot this year.
On behalf of LD10, I'd like to make this small donation to your campaign.
Thank you very much.
Well, that is the hardest act to follow. I'm not sure anybody can do it. We still have regular monthly LD10 business to get through. We also have Patty Hill, Erica becoming chair to talk to us about the election. And we'll do the business part as quickly as possible. So the first thing we need to do is approval of monthly meetings from last month. Do I hear a motion to approve? We have a motion to approve, we'll have a second. And a second, all in favor? Ayes. Okay, I'll provide the treasurer's report. Justin is the new treasurer, we have not yet been able to sign into the bank. Our current cash balance is $13,700, which is a fairly healthy, but we do need enough money to get voters' guides to the 30,000 registered Democrats. This is the only place we can earn it, is here. Katrina Schaffner will go through some of our fundraising ideas. Just to let you know, we didn't spend much money. We spent $5,000 this year. 4,200 of that went to renting spaces. We've prepaid this space to the end of the year, so we don't have to worry about that. But we spent about $800 on supplies and other things. So it's a pretty frugal board. So I'd like to get a motion to approve the financial overview. Justin again, a second. Second from Stephanie. All in favor? Aye. Okay, we've got that part out of the way. So I'd like to invite our first chair. Oh, before I do that, I'd like to acknowledge all the candidates here with us. Could the candidates please rise? Brian, Blair, Ellen is here. And Danny Hart is here. In particular, I do want to acknowledge Danny because he finished third in the voting, beat a couple of Republicans running for the city council. His numbers were very healthy, but he would win on one metric, cost per vote, would be incredibly below what Go Forth and Veranichek spent for each one of their votes. So thank you so much for jumping into that race. From my perspective, I think you did incredibly well in a very short period of time. So thank you very much, Danny. Who is new here? Oh, there's Josh. Oh, you can stand up. We will hear from Josh next time because he has some news coming up, but he is running for Mesa School Board. This is his second go at it. He definitely is going to need our support. We all know how critical that school board is because of some of the mental cases that get on there. And we do need a sane person to balance that out and make sure that the school system is not literally destroyed from within.
Preview for next week, support the school bond.
Yes, yes.
Next month.
I'll just say that out loud, is that there will be a vote on a school bond in the general election. Unfortunately, it will be at the back of the ballot. So it's going to be very, very easy to miss. And this is what tends to kill those when they come in at this kind of election. We're going to make sure that's critical on the voter guide. Is all those special elections, guidance on all those referrals. We're going to be getting a couple referrals from the legislature that look really innocent, but then they're going to undo, but we just need to protect the vote, getting that on there. So that's the kind of game they play. I'd like the rest, various members of the board to stand. Cassandra, Secretary. Justin Poff. The real treasurer, Katrina Schaffner. Michelle McNeil, you'll be very soon. And that's it. Oh, me. And the last group of people that really are important, and I overlooked them last time, and I apologize, and Joanne was desperately trying to do sign language, which I didn't understand. Could we have everyone who's a precinct committee person please stand? This is the foundation of our party. People like to think of an organizational chart with the chair of the Democratic Party up here, so forth, county chair, district chair, so forth, down to the PCs. Flip that around, because it really is the PCs that are the neighborhood resource that we rely upon. So thank you for taking on these responsibilities. We need you out there. Our number one in this district will hear this. I thought I was the only Democrat in this entire area. The sense of isolation is so pervasive that door-to-door outreach is so critical. The PCs are our troops